have a game. What you do is create a scene, drop a character in, and write whatever you can think of. Keep trying until you like it. I'll use a movie theater. That guy up front looks interesting. I'll call him person 1. One is sitting in the movie theater. The room is dark, and the ambiance of the action flick pervades the air. He is engrossed, munching away at the popcorn in his lap and slurping away at his medium Coke Zero. He goes to the movie every Sunday. Each Sunday he finds a new action film to engage his mind. He likes the simplicity. There's the good guy, the bad guy, the babe, the traitor, and the best friend. Sometimes the latter four are the same, but he prefers when they aren't. He likes it when the good guy wins the big fight at the end, but he could pass on all the mumbo-jumbo talking in order to get there. When the on-screen explosions send the subwoofer into high gear, he likes to feel the pounding in his chest. It feels lifelike. Well, at least one thinks so. The only thing remotely close to an experience like that was when his brother accidentally knocked over the family television when they were kids. That was scary. And his parents were none too pleased themselves. But anyways, the movie. So the good guy just cornered the bad guy. He is the bad guy, right? The one with the ill-placed sunglasses? One thinks so because he laughs funny. There's something about the shirt that he's wearing, too, that one doesn't like. But he spent a lot of the movie talking to the good guy, so one's a little confused. He tuned out the talking part in the middle because he thought he saw his friend in the audience. But it ended up just being some dude. Oh wait, the good guy just beat up the bad guy. Now this is what one calls action. The final fight commences and one sits, captivated, soaking in the fast-changing camera angles and the chaotically choreographed fight. Soon, the good guy, dripping with sweat, lands the knockout punch to the bad guy. Cue the babe. Final comments, hugging. Credits roll, and one stands up and walks out of the theater. Till next week, he remarks as he heads out of the building. No, something's not right about this character. He's altogether boring. He's like an automaton, processing everything within his radius of perception, but nothing more. He doesn't even seem to acknowledge the characters on the screen, let alone relate to them, in a way that's kind of sick. He's the kind of guy who you could catch saying, you want it to happen to the other person. You don't give a damn what they suffer, all you care about is yourself. It's like his existence is relegated to a cave whose ceiling is too high for him to see and whose masters entertain him by producing displays on the wall. Utterly hopeless for development. Let's give this a second try. 2 hurries into his seat, spilling a bit of his popcorn as he shuffles in. He doesn't mind. His friends told him that this movie would be great, and he doesn't plan to miss a second of it. The previews fade from the screen while the room darkens and the audio feed sends a wave of sound across the speakers that alert the moviegoers to attend their seats. The film opens with a sci-fi vibe on a man asleep on his computer. This guy, who turns out to be the main character, is a bit of a loner and an underachiever, but he's apparently built himself a reputation as a man who asks too many questions. 2 listens attentively as the exposition wears on, observing how time and time again the main character's curiosity gets the better of him. While he must admit the fight scenes of the flick are top-notch, 2 can't get rid of the feeling that the main character continues to dig himself deeper into a hole by aggravating his surroundings. 2 tries to envision himself in the position of the main character, but he struggles to, as at every chance the main character takes a completely unnecessary risk when the alternatives are so obviously superior. And what is the reward for all of this risk? More questions and more struggle? It was like the time in class when that one kid asked some off-the-wall question about the inevitability of history as they were grading a test. Really? 2 had thought? What was the use of such abstractions? All it did was get the class off topic and start an argument with the teacher. And it's not like you could prove it one way or the other, or that it would matter anyways. 2 has to admit, however, that the obvious character flaw was forgivable because the locales and nature of these action sequences were some of the best he has ever seen. And really 2 reasons. An action movie can only get itself in trouble when it tries to do too much. If they stick to what they're good at, the fighting, then they will be successful. There's no need to get involved in subjects they can't handle. 2 enjoys the movie, but he wishes that the main character and his enemy would just get on with the final confrontation. As 2 figures, the big fight at the end could be ridiculously cool if they stop worrying about saving the world, or if there's a world to save in the first place. Navel gazing at its finest, 2 muses. Finally, the climatic sequence begins. The main character and his nemesis fight in a race against time, leaving sheer awesomeness on the screen as they battle for supremacy. No. I think I've actually created a more despicable character from the first time. This guy is aware of the cave, but he doesn't seem to mind. He's one of those who are too lazy and comfortable to think for themselves, and is no better than a tree or stone, or at best an animal. It's worse that he chooses this path, whereas the other apparently had no awareness in the first place. But I digress. I'll try again. Alright, one more time. 3 leans in towards the screen as if to pick up every detail it leaks out. The protagonist stands on the edge of a choice. The struggle is written plainly over his face. To jump. To risk everything he has ever known on the whim of a hunch that the unknown might be better. Or to stay. To deal with the troubles of the mundane, the meager existence that has slowly eroded his spirit. This is what stands between him and his future. 3 knows such strain quite well. 3's mind momentarily wanders from the inside of the theater to the avenues of choice from which his current state can be traced. At each fork lay a dilemma that 3 had attempted to resolve. Most of them he had, some he hadn't. Yet 3 feels he owes each route its own responsibility for reaching the moment of introspection he currently resides in. Each presented a new challenge, but each continued to shape 3's person. 3 remembers the choice he made between 2 adventures. The opportunity to spend a summer with old friends, and the chance to see the world. He spent weeks battling between the 2 of them, weighing the benefits of each against the other and desperately trying to find an answer. When he settled on the latter, he had not been convinced he was right. Back on screen, the protagonist realizes that the truths of his old reality, upon serious introspection, are actually more like guidelines meant to be bent than axioms meant to support. The discovery opens an entire realm of opportunity which he may only now begin to take advantage of. In the events preceding the film's climax, his continued understanding of his environment fuels the steps that the protagonist takes not only to vanquish a nemesis, but also to save a friend. His struggle has brought him to a new plane of understanding. 3 shudders with revelation. He looks around, as if to see if anyone else were sharing in his sudden enlightenment. The struggle, not the choice itself, is how the protagonist keeps moving forward. 3's cheeks burn with the rush of this discovery. He feels altogether free, like the shackles of his former paradigm had just been released, and sits back to watch the film conclude with satisfaction. When the film closes, 3 looks around, stands up, and wanders out of the theater, amazed by his own metamorphosis. Now I like this story much better. There's development, even hints of conflict, and there's a direct relationship between my character and the movie protagonist. 3 is noticeably out of the cave. He demonstrates this by his constant awareness of himself. He has a strong temporal sense. Most importantly, he struggles. He makes choices through a process of great internal conflict, but the choices themselves aren't what make him special. Any computer can make a choice. Some are quite good at it. If that's what you call human, then you have to broaden the scope of who you include in that list. Certainly, any simple intelligence that can understand true and false can be human by those standards. A human being is someone who contemplates. He sees the paths laid out before him and must weigh them against each other. Decisions aren't a process of randomly flipping a coin, and for humans they might struggle with that anyways. Now, it's true, you can go pretty far along the chain of intelligence with the simple ability to make decisions. You might even get to some very lifelike outcomes. But then, that might just go to further explain why my second character was so detestable. The human has to struggle. It's how he creates his strength and, ultimately, his happiness. But if he can never ask that critical question, to be or not to be, he really can't be a member of our species. I think what I like so much about my third character is that he is one who would look up at the stars and wonder at it all. He wouldn't just accept the things he learns, he has to grapple with them and make them his own. It's a process of ownership that must begin with the challenge of its alien nature, but that is how the real human would learn and adapt, by overcoming that. I guess that my third character is the type of person I'd like to be, the one who constantly contemplates his relationship with the greater universe around him, and in practice, is the one who is always learning something. But maybe this exercise has moved me closer to that ideal anyways. Maybe my struggle to create a real person has helped me to struggle with my own existence. That's a profound thought. I think I'll close with that.